Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I hope you had enough time to get something to eat, take a breather, because we're back with the last game of the regular phase of the Iberian League, brought to you by Esports League and Prozit. As always, my name is Nelson AC Silva. Joining me is Max Formal Von Neumann to bring you all the action in and out of the pitch on this upcoming best of 5 series between Los Hombres de PACO and GTZ Bull.
Yeah, this is our final series of what I suppose you could call the regular season, the main season, the round robin stage, part one. It has a lot of different names, but all of it does not matter because after this next best of five, it comes to an end. And of course, we are ending with one last chance for Portugal to maybe get one over on Spain, despite having no teams actually make it to the knockout stage. Maybe, just maybe, we could see another Spanish team come out on top.
Maybe, just maybe. I mean, so far, GTZ Bulls, you said it yourself when we were on break. GTZ Bulls took every single Spanish team to overtime. Up
Yeah.
until now, they haven't won a single game against them.
No, no, they're technically 9-0 against the other three teams from Spain. However, in each of the series, there was always one game that did go into overtime. Usually it was the highest scoring game of actually all of them as well.
Mm.
So interesting to see if that trend continues, especially against Los Hombres de Paco, who previously had been a bit more of a more I think offensive minded team, but then with that switch up with By Mateos coming in, they've been more of a complete team, kind of similar actually of a transformation that we Bots went through as well. But on another level, I think they still are that same fast team. They still have that edge, and they've done probably the second most insane mechanical plays next to the Canyon. So head to head, taking a look how they line up right here, you can see really a big difference between both of these teams in terms of goals, shots, assists, everything leaning towards Los Hombres de Paco.
Absolutely, but there's not a huge gap. There is a gap, obviously, between Los Hombres de Paco and GTZ Bulls. Biggest gap is on the shots taken. But we've talked about the defensive prowess of GTZ Bulls. They're
Mhm.
pretty much on par with For the Win and how they tackle the defense in most of the games. So much so that both Los Hombres that when GTZ Bulls went up against head to head against For the Win, they went 3-2. They took all 5 games to be defeated by
Yeah.
For the Win in this case. And 4 of those 5 games went into overtime. So
Yeah.
GTZ Bulls, very good defensively, but against Los Hombres de Paco, I think they'll need a little bit more than just sheer defensive prowess.
But here's the thing that you just touched upon and how these two teams play very similarly. Um, with the matchup between Los Hombres de Paco and For the Win last week, that went all 5 games as well, with I believe 4 overtimes as well.
Yeah.
So we could be seeing something similar here as we take a look at our head-to-head player stats in this one. Nachito versus Psycho. Obviously, Nachito, RLCS player. He's been an absolute beast so far this season, although maybe not the impact we were expecting. Only 15 goals, but he has been the assist man. 21 assists,
Yeah.
really doing a great job in setting up who has kind of become Mr. Shot Taker Demensa moving forward. But Psycho on that other side, 36 saves. I do believe he leads the league in saves right now. He's been absolutely amazing on defense. Unfortunately, not the best when it comes to getting the clears, not the best when turning that around, but in terms of actually stopping the ball, Psycho's been unmatched.
Unmatched as it stands, 36-24. Let's see if it's enough to actually bring Paco to a stalemate and maybe even take a game. Well, Paco, the Los Hombres de Paco come into this series as the favorites. I think
Mhm.
I think we both agree on that. But I do feel like GTZ Bulls have what it takes to take at least one game away from the favorites in this best of 5 series. If they can actually do it, we'll have to wait and see as we head into our game number 1. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 1 is live. Los Hombres de Paco in the blue with GTZ Bulls in the orange for the last game of the regular season of the Iberian League. Already on the offense, GTZ Bulls punch the ball all the way over to the side of Los Hombres de Paco.
Yeah, and you can see they are going to be putting on that
Oh,
pressure very early, but By Mateos is going to be able to slow play it, trying to set up Demensa for the booming clear, but King Tuga able to get there right now, and unfortunately, Psycho does not have the height, so ground given up. It's a good pass down to Psycho, though, to push it back forward. Henrique to Psycho. This shot doesn't look to be on target. By Mateos makes the save. Something else I want to quickly note, though, in this one that was mentioned to us actually by the GTC Bulls during the interview after they did beat Weed and Bots last week is that they kind of feel like had the season, started a little bit later, they probably would have had a better showing. They were still learning about themselves, still learning the team's strengths and weaknesses at the start of the season where they lost most of their games. And then really towards the second half, they started to come online. And there is that chance that they can pull off that sleeper upset, especially considering how For the Win performed last week against this Los Hombres de PACO team. So I'm not writing them off.
No, not at all. And we talked about the evolution of the Portuguese teams as a whole throughout the duration of this tournament. And For the Win was a team that clearly evolved the most. They managed to steal a set. Managed to steal a set off of a super mode in the biggest upset we've had in the league so far. But GTZ Bulls, they've been pretty much on par with that evolution. Granted, they haven't been as blessed in their games against the Spanish squads as For the Win have. They haven't been as close, but they've been pulling some weight. They've been throwing around their weights, and I think they're in a point where they can actually start to compete against these top teams because they've been learning the game. They've been learning themselves as a team, like you said yourself, and they're in a good spot right now. Maybe if we get a season 2 of the Iberian League, they'll be at their best shape. Right now, they're looking pretty on par against Los Hombres de PACO.
Yeah, actually, again, Los Hombres de PACO, they've been giving a lot of respect, it seems like, to the Bulls. A lot of space given to them, especially when the Bulls were attacking. Los Hombres content to sort of play sort of two-man, again, defense, deeper rotations. And a lot of shots have been coming from the Bulls so far early in this. And I believe it's a case of Los Hombres looking for a chance to find sort of a counterattack opportunity, and then more credit to the Bulls. They've been doing a good job in shutting down the middle of the pitch, even when it looks like the first one player has mitts. PACO in particular has done a good job in sort of repositioning himself, recovering, and then turning that into a clear. That said, this is starting to look like the best attack we've seen for Los Hombres. Good pass down the middle. Demensa tries to catch it, but he was too far forward, and he's unable to keep that momentum going.
Yeah, no momentum to bounce the ball into the direction of the box from GTZ Bulls, which means it's going to be stalemated in the center of the pitch. And it's now Enrique tries to clear it off with King Tuga. Nice pickup from Demensa there on the center boost. Tries to set it up by Mateos. Doesn't quite get it. Triple commit comes in from GTZ Bulls, but they can't get a booming clear for the offense. Demensa tries to get a waterfall setup. Doesn't quite find it as well. Mateos centers the ball. Demensa gets a shot. Gets cleared out. Great defensing from the Bulls.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing good defense, but we also saw sort of that Achilles heel of the Bulls and like their inability to get booming clears. Finally, PACO able to do just that, but a couple of those awkward touches nearly cost them that first goal. Really a great job to recover from that and sort of survive the attack coming from Los Hombres de PACO, who don't seem to have that edge just yet. Again, they're content to play really passive, really defensively. No one's really challenging middle of the pitch right now, and I'm very surprised by this.
Yeah, I mean, Los Hombres de PACO, they don't want to really make any mistakes so that they don't lose their positioning on the board. GTZ Bulls, honestly, they don't have anything to lose. They just have to prove themselves as a team that's been evolving and wants to keep on evolving. Good shot on goal there by PACO. The Mets is going to be there to save it, just barely.
Ooh, yeah, that was closer than expected. I mean, it wasn't the fastest shot, and I did feel like Demensa would get there in time. I do feel actually as if the Bulls kind of read that as well, as they did rotate back, so prepared for the counterattack right there. And now a counterattack of their own, but yet another miss. And there's been 3 of these so far that I've been able to count where the ball should have been an easy carry through for the Bulls, but an unforced error, a whiff, and now a double commit. They were going for the pinch. PACO, good recovery, puts a shot, but it's a little bit too far to the left.
Good challenge by Enrique, and this center, Kintuga tries to bounce the ball into the corner. No, Demensa doesn't quite get it. Nachito gains control of the ball. Nice challenge from PACO again. Demensa on the reset, tries to set it up for his team, clears it for Nachito, but then Nachito gets bounced and back, unable to continue with the offense.
Yeah, I think that was actually a good thing Nachito didn't actually go for that player right there, because otherwise it would have been a 2v1 or even a 3v1 counterattack in that situation. As it stands, 0-0 game, 8 seconds remaining. We could be seeing that 0-0 overtime, which I do feel plays right into the GTZ Bulls wheelhouse.
I mean, yeah, much like For the Win do, they try to prey on their opponent's mistakes. Now it's overtime. You're not restricted by a time frame or anything. You're just restricted by patience. This is where it's staying. Like this is where teams. This is where you see the teams that have the most patience. Versus teams that have no patience at all.
That bump looked good. That shot looks good as well. Enrique, though, a little bit too fast for the shot, so he's able to make the save. PACO going to slow things down in the corner, maybe give the Bulls some time to recover defensively. Another shot by Mateos, but this one's not going to hit the net. And now we're starting to see Los Hombres de PACO kind of put that pressure on that we're used to seeing, but Psycho actually goes over the top, and it's rare a team is able to get above Enrique
Oh
with the shot.
my.
It is not able to connect it by Mateus. Looks for the clear. A good touch by King Tuga, and again, a clutch save coming from Los Hombres de PACO.
I feel like Enrique didn't really trust that touch and didn't go back for the goal because the box was wide open for GTZ Bulls to take it. They're being patient, and I think that's a smart move to make, but they can't be too patient to the point where they're giving so much space over to the side of Los Hombres de PACO. Car billiard.
Right. Oh, again.
Car billiard.
Twice. Yeah, King Tuga and Psycho need to separate from themselves right now. It does look like Psycho did back off and now is looking to catch the pass from Tuga. 50, though, is stolen away by Mateos, and Demensa now starting to punish in the middle of the pitch, and we are starting to see Los Hombres de PACO start to understand this matchup, start to feel themselves. They're getting more aggressive, and this could be a bad sign for the GTZ Bulls.
It could be a bad sign. The ball is staying way too long inside of GTZ Bulls, and finally, Los Hombres de PACO find the opening 1 minute and 26 seconds into the overtime and get the goal that seals the fate in this first game.
I was wondering who was going to be the player that steps up for Los Hombres de PACO and starts to challenge the middle of the pitch, starts to actually challenge on the opposite end of the pitch, and it was by Mateos. He did it 3 times in that overtime, won all 3 of those 50s, and finally winning that third one was what opened up the goal right there for Demensa to secure it in this overtime. So a good showing for Los Hombres de PACO. Again, you know, it wasn't the highest scoring game in this series, I can guarantee you that, but another overtime against a Spanish team, and unfortunately for the Bulls, they fall that little bit short. Los Hombres de PACO, they're playing for third place right now. That win right there, I doesn't secure it for them yet. They just need to win one more, and they will have third place secure.
Yeah, and this felt like a very slow-paced game comparatively to what we've seen throughout the day. I guess GTZ Bulls, again, super solid on the defense. Nothing really too concerning to point out. Nothing too stressful on their side of the defense. Los Hombres de PACO, they seem to kind of it felt like they were falling victims of this playstyle from GTZ Bulls. They also just tried to slow down the pace. They tried to play the slower paced games. They gave a lot of room for GTZ Bulls to set up an offense, to set the counter offense. And the ball came way too close to their box one too many times.
Exactly. I feel like, you know, you get rid of a couple of those unforced errors from the GTZ Bulls, and we could be looking at a completely different game. That said, Los Hombres de PACO, they were content to wait for the mistakes, content to wait for the openings. They never really came. It wasn't until Los Hombres actually got aggressive in that overtime that they were able to find that win. I do expect him to continue to play with that level of aggression moving forward, to go for more of those tight rotations and those tight cutoffs, just because that's probably how they're going to win this series. However, you know, credit to the Bulls where credit is due. They also had a lot of pretty tense defensive stands right there in order to get that game to that overtime. So I'm super impressed with the deep rotations from both of these teams.
Yeah.
I just feel like when the Bulls went for the tight offensive rotations, they weren't able to capitalize on it. And then the first time we see that out of Los Hombres de PACO, they win it in that overtime. And that is a big red flag for the Portuguese side.
And I want to draw a big parallel here to the second set that we had today between Super Mode and the Canyons, where the Canyons were also super aggressive and super tight on the offensive rotations, and Super Mode were mostly defensive and maybe sometimes overly respecting the Canyons in that sense. And I do feel like that's what's happening here for the GTC Bulls. They try to go for the offensive plays, absolutely, but they're not going for enough risks to actually try and make a play happen in their favor. And when they do try to make a play, it's mostly out of I do think we're gonna have a restart in this game.
Yeah. We're just gonna the server will be remade. It'll all be good.
Yeah, absolutely. So back to the point, I wanted to say that it does feel like GTZ Bulls are giving a little bit too much space over to Los Hombres de PACO, and they need to risk a little bit more to be successful in their play.
Yeah, I think both teams should look to increase the tempo, I suppose. Again, I do feel it's easier for Los Hombres de PACO to get away with it because traditionally they have been that faster team. And, you know, you only need to send one player forward. And in this case, it happened to be by Mateos, and it worked out super, super well for them. Even if the Bulls do the same and just wind up sending sort of one player up to go forth and challenge, as long as it's not King Tuga, all respect thrown to that player. But if we're going to go consistency, the best odds at the 50-50s, I don't think he's the player you send forward. I think you send forward one of the other two.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter between those other two, but you just have someone going up there and maybe trying to force something, try to make that like proactive play. I think could go a long way for the Bulls in this series. We saw the success it had on the blue side. Let's see it happen on that orange side as well. I mean, what have you got to lose in this situation? You're a game down. That may have been your overtime game. So the rest of them, are going to finish in regulation. It's time to actually get that lead and then play off of it.
That's true. Let's see what exactly happens as we head into game number 2 of GTZ Bulls versus Los Hombres de PACO. Los Hombres de PACO come in here as a favorites. They take game number 1, but it was a game number 1 that didn't feel like they were the actual favorites. Let's see if game number 2 is a little bit more solid from the blue team.
Well then. Nachito might be having some computer issues right there, and yeah, we're gonna go ahead and reset. I think that was someone had some connectivity issues right there, so we're gonna fix that one up as fast as possible. Apologies for that. There was a brief moment right there where I was getting some not very kind OCE flashbacks, but now everyone is gonna leave. We're gonna go ahead and remake that game. I'll let people figure out what I'm referencing to.
I'm not gonna get it. I'm not gonna get there.
I'll tell you after.
Good. Okay. I'll look forward for it. I like the man as much as the next guy. But hey, we're about to recreate the lobby. I mean, we've already established that server had issues, so let's move on to the next servers. We're server hopping right now.
Yeah, we're just bouncing around until we find that winning server. A plight that I feel plagues everyone at times. Granted, though, we will be kicking this off very, very shortly. And yeah, it was a really tight game number 1. Like, that was so much closer than I was actually expecting, especially considering like when the Bulls do kind of get going and they have their close games, they're usually shootout affairs. It's usually when that offense for the Bulls gets going. And we saw some of that offense, especially in the first minute and a half where they had that pressure and they were putting on those shots. We know the Bulls have that within them. But Los Hombres de PACO at that stage did do a good job to hold on. And that was kind of where the defensive rotations did carry through and kind of elevated that team. And that could be a reason why they kind of stuck with that as late as they did. It could have just been that early onset aggression that kind of caught Los Hombres de PACO off guard. And it's like, oh, maybe we do have to play deeper. But again, at the very end, they did discover, no, we can push forward. We can still beat these guys. And that's why I'm worried. I think the first 2 minutes in the second game is going to be very, very critical for the Bulls. If Los Hombres de PACO come at them and attack them, they cannot afford to give up that early goal.
Though I do doubt that Los Hombres de PACO want to go for hyper-aggressive plays. Nonetheless, they have the security of having 1 game lead. So I do feel like they're just going to be chill in the back of their side of the field, or not. Maybe just go for an immediate offensive play, get bumped out of the air by Psycho.
Ooh, Demensa almost making that solo play happen. And again, he's the one taking those tight rotations right now. And the follow-through is there by Mateos. Has to go across the pitch. King Tuga, though, a little bit slow taking down the left corner. He still will put a shot on target. Nachit, though, able to make that save. And yeah, any questions about the aggression, I think, just got answered by how tight by Mateos was right there. And on that left side, it tells me, no, they're still going all attack mode right now. Shot on target. But Demensa trying to tap it in accidentally bops it out of the way.
Demensa playing the double agent over here in Rocket League. Oh, never mind. They just wanted the credits for the first goal.
Oh my goodness, that goal, not only is it 100 triple-digit kilometers per hour, but the positioning of that was absolutely disgusting. And that was a Swiss shot. That did not hit the crossbar. As tight as you can get without having to use it. Absolutely phenomenal goal out of Demensa.
Yeah, open at the scoreboard like this against GTZ Bulls. I guess you were right. I mean, they've already used up their overtime against a Spanish team. And now the Spanish team, Los Hombres de PACO, they're angry. And they want more.
Exactly. Well, you're starting to see, like, even with that attempt at the shot right there, Los Hombres de PACO are feeling a lot more confident to go for riskier shots and go for riskier challenges on the orange side of the pitch. And, that demo in the middle will get retaliated by King Tuga. However, yeah, you can just sort of see this mindset for Los Hombres de PACO right now. They're going to challenge, they're going to take risks, but they're going to try and put more shots on the table than what we saw in that first game. Now, an opening for the Bulls right here.
An opening for the Bulls. They have the ball flopping around in or near the net of Los Hombres de PACO, who already made a move for the counter play. Demensa goes in, pass over to by Mateos. Clear 1-2 play.
Oh my goodness, but that was so tight. Normally, Demenza would be taking the shot right there, but by Mateus just sneaking around that left side. The defense was not expecting it. They double committed towards the supports player, or Mr. Assist in this instance, and as a result, an open net for Mateus. A tight angle, but he banged it right on through.
Absolutely. And once again, Demenza crossbar by Mateus collects that ball, keeps it inside the area of GTZ Bulls. Now they're going for a counter attack as fast as they can. Los Hombres de PACO try to make a move for the defense. PACO fumbles the ball, pinches it with the side of Los Hombres de PACO. Nearly jumps it in. Good save by Henrique.
There is no... Okay, finally Demenza actually moves to the blue side of the pitch when he recognizes the play is falling apart, but when it looked like Los Hombres de PACO were in control, no one was even moving behind that halfway point. That is how tight they have decided to play this game moving forward, and that is exactly what I think the Bulls should be afraid of right now because of their weakness to get these clears. That's been their weakness this entire series. I think Los Hombres de PACO has finally realized, you know what, we're going to outspeed them even if they do get behind us, and this is the strategy, and this is how you beat the Bulls historically.
And right now it's working. 2 minutes left, or 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock, and Los Hombres de PACO have a safe, solid lead on their under their belt. Though this doesn't mean that the GTZ Bulls have given up already. No, not at all. They're still trying to make the offensive plays. They're still trying to make the defensive rotations. They're not just rolling over and allowing Los Hombres de PACO to do whatever they please with the court.
You say that, and yet Demenza was just about to get a ceiling shot right there. It was actually his own unforced error, which caused that one to miss. Mateus now going to try and put a shot on target. I act, of course, as if, you know, a ceiling shot is just something you can hit without, you know, looking at it. Either way, so much pressure right now coming from Los Hombres de PACO as, yeah, the Bulls, they're struggling so hard to get anything going. But what was that? What?
That was an own goal. That in no way, shape, or form was the Kentuga shot. That was Nachito trying to control it by Mateus, bumps it in the goal.
I'm trying to figure out what Mateus was trying to do right there.
Oh, he has a lot of explaining to do. That's what he has to do.
That was one of the, like, simultaneously best and worst own goals I think I've ever seen. What actually was that?
I don't know. I just know I looked at chat and I saw by Mateus, before the ball even got inside the goal, he was spamming "I'm sorry."
Yeah, that was a bit of an oops play.
He knows what he did.
The world knows what he did now. Fortunately for Los Hombres de PACO, when it comes to the second game, they still feel like they are in complete control. Nothing gotten for the Bulls in this one, as Demenza's able to find that third goal in the 2v1 situation. So no harm, no foul, I suppose. A nice pass right there to help out the teammate and kind of say, I'm sorry. Demenza bangs it right through that open net, and the Bulls once again on that back foot.
Yeah. Still a 2-goal gap. GTZ Bulls. It feels like they're running out of fuel here. They get the nice demo, but they're not as fast on the defensive rotations as they were in game 1 or at the start of this game 2 as well. It feels like they're starting to become a little bit sloppier than what they than their usual selves.
And again, it's because of the tight rotations that Los Hombres de PACO have been able to put on offense. This is looking good for the Bulls. When they get on the blue side of the pitch, they actually do look all right. It's just been so hard for them to clear, to beat out those tight rotations. It's that weakness, again, I'm sounding like a broken record. It's what's always plagued them. When they get to play their own game, they look great, but sometimes they just struggle in getting to that stage. It's Demenza. Wow. Woo, that was a solo play that is so tough to defend.
Yes, it is. I mean, you saw that Psycho was there. He was in a good position, but there's just such a wide angle. What you had to do there as a defender, you need to go towards the attacker a little bit sooner so that you would close at the angle a little bit faster. You allowed a little bit too much space to the Menza and just capitalized on it.
Yeah, but I actually go a little bit further back to that clear attempt. The fact that they double committed on the push down the middle and didn't respect Demenza's ability to steal that ball away is really what I think cost them in that situation. As Demenza finds yet another one. What angle was that act?
It wasn't an angle that literally nobody from the Bulls were trying to defend at this point. Okay. You have 15 seconds left on the clock. They basically assumed, okay, we just need to go next. Mental reset for the third game because that is going to be match point for Los Hombres de PACO. So just cut your losses. don't get upset anymore about this game, and just 10 seconds left. You worry about how you perform next game, how you kick off, especially.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, moving forward, yes, the scoreboard does say 5-1. It should say 5-0. The Bulls really haven't scored a goal yet in this one, and it's almost actually going to look 6-1 right there. Fortunately, Bulls defense going to hold on, but yeah, the offense, it looks good when they can establish control on the opposite side of the pitch. But the problem is getting to the opposite side of the pitch has just been such a struggle for this Bulls team. This second game has played out exactly like I thought it would after we saw that overtime. Los Hombres de PACO finally realized, okay, let's punish these guys. We can push forward. We won't get burned by them. And
what
0-second play.
Why is this happening?
Gets it.
Why is this happening? Like, I know you were going on and on and on. I was like, okay, the ball's gonna hit the floor anytime soon now. I was like, okay, I guess that's what you get for playing with your food, because I saw like Los Hombres de PACO.
Oh, there's their one goal.
Los Hombres de PACO went back and forth several times, especially by Mateos. Like, it felt like he almost wanted to score an own goal at some point, because he went for the double touch over the back wall of his own goal. But I don't know. I don't know what to take out from that. 2-0.
Look, the players were having fun. That's pretty take with that one. That was just a fun exchange at the end of that. Like, obviously, that goal doesn't matter too much. Although I can no longer say that the Bulls haven't scored a goal. I guess they did get that at the end right there. How much weight you put into it. To be perfectly honest, I don't put much on that. However, hey, they did get it. And Los Hombres de PACO were trying to play defense, and it was a very extended 0-second goal. So the Bulls showing off a bit of their mechanics. I still feel unless the Bulls are going to be able to get those good booming defensive touches on their own half of the pitch, they're going to struggle. They need to get over the top of Los Hombres de PACO. They need to be that little bit faster. They need to control their own corners. Otherwise, they're going to keep struggling, and it's a tough situation. I want to see the Bulls get demo. That might be the ticket. Get that key demo. Get that key bump, and maybe they will be able to turn it around. Either way, though, it's going to be very, very tough for them because Los Hombres de PACO, they are really feeling themselves.
They are. I mean, again, it's what we said from the get-go. They were the favorites coming into this game, and they know they were the favorites. They perfectly know perfectly well that they have a lot of wiggle room in this set. That's why you see a more playful, I would say, a more chill, a more laid back Los Hombres de PACO. So last game, maybe they'll give the benefit of that over the GTZ Bulls. Maybe they'll be a little bit too laid back, and GTZ Bulls can absolutely capitalize on it. But I don't know. Maybe a 3-0 is in order. Maybe GTZ Bulls can come back.
Yeah,
I doubt it.
Well, this is the interesting situation we're in right now because of that win. Even though they still have to play this game due to the tiebreakers, I'm 95% sure. You can't 100% quote me on this because tiebreakers sometimes do get a little bit confusing, but I'm 95% sure with that win, Los Hombres de PACO have secured themselves that third place position. So they're now at a stage where they don't need to totally crush their opponents. They kind of got the 2 wins required from them. Yeah. Maybe we'll see them, try something different, try something crazy. Let's play the entire game turtled. I don't entirely know. Granted, I do believe in competitive integrity, so I am hoping to see Los Hombres de PACO really go out there and not give me my bad OCE flashbacks. By the way, that's hint number 2. So
there you go.
We'll see how this one goes down.
Salty.
I'm very salty.
Salty formal. Just keep it outside of the ring, buddy, because we're ready to go to game number 3. It's match point for Los Hombres de PACO, who are squaring off against GTZ Bulls. GTZ Bulls, they have 2 wins against Infusion Gaming and Within Bots. Their last game of the league is against, or the last set of the league is against Los Hombres de PACO. And so far, down 2-0, not looking great for the Portuguese squad.
No, it's not looking great at all, but how great could it potentially be to have our final series end on a reverse sweep, to see Portugal pull off that upset against Spain? Not saying it's going to happen. In fact, I'm saying it's probably won't happen, but it would be pretty magnificent.
What the heck are these cars?
Oh, yes.
Oh, they're pulling their punches. GTZ Bulls are pulling their punches, and they've got the weird stock here in play.
Yeah, meanwhile, Los Hombres de PACO, well, we're still seeing Demensa on the Fennec, as all good mech players ride. But yeah, definitely You know, we're pulling deep into the car library, or the garage, I should say, in this one. I don't remember. I actually don't entirely know the name of these ones. I did. Shame on me, I know, but I have never really seen these in competitive play whatsoever. They are ugly.
They seem to have quite big hitboxes.
Yeah,
and
I
get
fair enough.
And I was gonna go with that. I was gonna lead on to they're gonna be looking for demos, and they just did.
Yeah, absolutely. Then, I mean, demos really was kind of how I felt that the Bulls were supposed to try to, like, you know, break some of these offensive rotations coming from Los Hombres de PACO, who are still looking to put more pressure on Nachito. Shot towards the goal, but a bit too slow. Psycho with the save. Henrique able to push forward, and oh my goodness, what?
Yo,
I love it though. I love it.
GTZ Bulls are super aggressive. It's working. Something is working. Something changed. The cars changed, and somehow they're doing it.
Yeah, they are. They're getting that offensive pressure in, and that's where the Bulls succeed. Unfortunately, by Mateos is able to drive it down in a tight rotation by Nachito. Means once again, we are seeing Los Hombres de PACO on the attack. Demensa makes one miss, doesn't get the flick. Psycho past to Tuga. This could be really good. Mateos doesn't get the touch, but look at the speed of Demensa. He literally outpaced two members of the Bulls, able to get that touch and turn the momentum back around.
But then again, the Bulls immediately pick the pace because Demensa not really known for being the solo player. Oh, what a touch!
Oh my goodness,
what a touch by Nachito.
Yeah, that pass, that touch, absolutely insane. The ball doesn't even lose momentum. Still going at over 100 kilometers per hour, able to find the net. That shot was a thing of beauty.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. It was a huge touch by Nachito. Gets another shot on goal, but now 1-0 in favor of Los Hombres de PACO. We're now riding the defense again by Mateos. Kind of lets the ball flop over. Ooh, huge save by Nachito.
And Psycho puts no power behind the follow-through shot as well, which does mean that the defense is going to be able to hold on to Los Hombres de PACO. As you can see, they're trying desperately to get that ball back onto the orange side of the pitch. We've seen time and time again the Bulls, when they get that offensive pressure on it, they put real shots, real threats against Los Hombres' side, but now it's not looking too good. Henrique going to try and get that clear through the middle, but does not have the height that by Mateos has. Still, King Tuga actually is turning it back around.
Waterfall set up, cleared up by Mateos. As you do see Psycho, actually the whole squad of GTZ Bulls struggling there to find their footing. And now Enrique finally gets the shot going. Psycho with a huge touch. Can it get set up by King Tuga? No, it doesn't. The ball's back rolling in the side of GTZ Bulls. Great touch. And Cheeto moves in for the backline touch, or the backboard touch. But Psycho manages to clear out that ball.
I'm actually surprised Demensa didn't connect on that goal right there. It is a tough shot, but I'm kind of used to him hitting those right now. And there are more opportunities being created by the Bulls in this game than what we saw in game number 2. And I kind of feel like unless Los Hombres de PACO, it's not just the cars, but it's the whole mental reset. It's the more relaxed play right now, and it's definitely doing the Bulls a lot of favor.
Yeah, that's true. There's not much tension in the air. Great save there by Enrique as well. There's not as much tension in the air, so they don't feel as pressured. They're in a better mood, and that helps a lot in your overall play style.
It absolutely does. As you can see, though, it's also helping Demensa as well, as he does find his next goal. And although we are seeing a better performance of the Bulls, if we're just going to look at the speed of this game, the Bulls really have not been able to match Los Hombres de PACO. Whenever that ball is kind of in no man's land and becomes a race to it, it really feels like the blue cars are almost driving circle around the orange abomination. So not a good situation right now for the Bulls. They still in this, just over a minute remaining. I'd like to see them get one more goal, but I don't see this comeback happening as long as Los Hombres continue to play at this pace.
That is true. Los Hombres are playing really, really well. Their defensive rotations are really solid, but another goal in. Yep, nice touch by Mateos. Great touch by Mateos.
Yeah, I mean, the first shot, I think, was what he was going for right there. That was an absolute dart. Unfortunately, not quite that right angle. Actually, Henrique got a touch on it as well, which may have actually worked against him. I think if that ball just continues to bounce off the post, it would have gotten into the air, and we would have been able to see, a tougher read by Mateos right there. But as it stands, 3-0 right now in favor of the Bulls.
Those close-ups on the orange cars gave me nightmares.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. Nightmare fuel. That's what they drive on.
Jesus. Hey, but
Yeah,
they're making sick plays.
they are. They are.
They're making a shot on goal. Psycho stalls the ball out for Kane 2. Good ball's in the corner. By Mateos is there to cut it off. Psycho still manages to get it going. Kintuga tries to go for a wall shot. Doesn't find the angle. But there's a demo. There's a shot. But there's a save by Mateo.
I feel like those are the vehicles that the demons drive when on Mars in Doom. That's how I feel from them. 10 seconds remaining in this one. The comeback isn't going to be happening, and the Iberian League is going to end with yet another Spanish team getting a win over the Portuguese counterpart. 3-0 might be that final score. However, by Mateos wants to get one more.
What?
How did that ball not touch the ground?
How? Yeah, I was going to say, did that not touch the ground? Are you kidding me? It bounced off the ground. How? What? Okay, well, I guess it's still airborne, still in the air. Dimensa trying to go for a neat little play. They're freestyling at this point. GTZ Bulls, they're feeding off of this, and it finally touches the ground, ending with a 3-0 for Los Hombres de PACO.
I wanted the Iberian League group stage to never end, but alas, all good things do eventually drop to the ground, and Los Hombres de PACO get a very, very comfortable 3-0 victory. I mean, they played their game. They played their game very, very well. It maybe took them a little bit too long to figure out what their game exactly had to be, but as soon as they picked up on those tight rotations, it was nothing but, as basketball fans would like to say, and a lot of those shots as well, nothing but net coming from Dementia, by Mateos, Nachito, each of them getting a goal in our third and final game.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is going to close out our leaderboard with the Canyons undefeated in the top position, followed by I believe it's Supermode in second place. I think we have a bit of a 2 or 3-way tie between Supermode, EC4, and Los Hombres de PACO after this one.
Supermode's a game up still, so it is.
Okay.
It'll be Canyons number 1, Supermode 2, and because of tiebreakers, it is Supermode and Los Hombres de PACO are tied, but Supermode did beat Los Hombres de PACO, so Supermode 2, Los Hombres de PACO 3, and because EC4 did beat for the win earlier today, EC4 gets that 4th spot.
We'll see how it goes, but we have an interview with By Mateos before we close out our regular season of the Iberian League. We'll see.
Hola.
How you doing, By Mateos? Hola, amigo. ¿Qué tal?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. What about you, man?
I'm very good, yeah. I'm good. I'm doing good.
Great to hear it. So, GTC Bulls took you to overtime in game 1. Did you expect the Bulls to put up this much of a fight in your last game of the splits?
Poof, yeah. The first match is always very special match because we need to focus, and we need to feel the team play again. Yeah.
I hear you. I hear you loud and clear.
I mean, going back to that first match, though, at least from my eyes, it kind of seemed like you guys were playing very, very passive pretty much until that overtime. And it was actually you in particular who kind of seemed to have enough of that and started going for more of those challenges and more of those 50s on the other side of the pitch. Did you discuss that with your team, or were you thinking, you know what, we're faster, we're better than these guys, I'm just going to go ahead and win this one right now?
We tried like pass team plays and control the match. And yeah, that's the thing for the win. We managed to play like with passing plays and make more aggressive stuff, and that's why we got the momentum and we got the win.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, moving forward, I'm pretty sure you secured a playoff spot with this clean 3-0 win. Are you ready to go into playoffs? Does the team feel prepared facing off against the Canyons, the Supermode, and EC4?
I feel, to be honest, more comfortable than the first time I played because I was playing the last 3 matches with this team, and yeah, I feel more comfortable, and yeah, we can do better the next time, yeah, for sure.
I mean, I'm gonna have to be that guy and go back to game number 2 right now, and you're talking about how comfortable and how you're synergizing with this team, but we saw that own goal. That was one of the most amazing own goals I've ever seen, and I was really struggling trying to figure out like how exactly does that happen? Was it just a poor place to try and rotate back, or were you going for a pinch and it just was a disaster? What actually happened there?
Yeah, I just said to go Nachito go, and yeah, I cut the rotation. He expected to pass to the Mensa to the middle, to the midfield and score, but yeah, I cut the rotation here, and yeah, I just own goal.
I mean,
Yeah,
dude, that was one of the best own goals I've ever seen. Like that
Hey,
was,
man.
I've seen some crazy ones before, so that's up
That
there.
was
That's up there with Spy Doge, and yeah, that's up there with Spy Doge if you know your OCE.
that was pretty. No, that was great. Not gonna lie, that was pretty great. But I do think that's gonna wrap it up for this interview. Thank you so much, Bye Mateos, for joining us, and congratulations once again on your victory and clinching that playoff spot. You absolutely deserved it. For
thank you guys.
myself, though, thank you for joining us, man.
Thank you.
I don't
Thank
know.
you.
Final thoughts, Max. Do you have anything for us?
Well, yeah, again, apologies for getting the second and third place confused. I thought it went to individual games, but no, it does go, I believe, to game differential. However, it doesn't really matter because the second and third place teams are going to be playing each other regardless. Final thoughts in this one. I mean, it was the top four I did expect in a
Mhm.
similar order to that I expected, but the way how we got there was definitely surprising. And I think one of the greatest things about this league was how different each and every team approached this
Yeah.
league and how every team had their own unique play style. And seeing those mix and match has been an absolute treat. And seeing Portugal, yes, they did struggle, but they also had some games that really did come down to the wire. And we did see that upset for the win. Getting that victory over Supermode, I think, is huge for the Portuguese Rocket League scene as a whole. So
I
I
absolutely
am
agree.
excited to see how this region grows. I'm excited to see how this tournament grows. And moving, though, into this top four, every time we saw two Spanish teams play against each other, they've been absolute bangers. And that means when we return to this knockout stage, every best of series is going to be an absolute treat.
Yes, it will. And we will be back in a couple of weeks, in the 20th, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But in a couple of weeks, we will be back for the knockout stage. But that is going to do it for the regular stage. The Canyons are leading undefeated all the way up to the last week, where they still remain undefeated after taking the 3-0 against Supermode. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for the Iberian League regular stage. We're going to see you on the knockout stage. For myself, from Max, and everybody in the production, we appreciate your preference. We appreciate you spending this beautiful, beautiful time with us. And we wish you good games, good afternoon, and we will see you on Knockout.